The Legion, and welcome to my channel. My name is Ludi, and today we'll be doing our EU4 1.30 starting moves guide for Bohemia. In this guide we'll be discussing the estates and economy, diplomacy and religion, missions, as well as your early wars and later expansion, and the ideas that you should be going for. Before we start the video, I'd appreciate it if you left a like, commented, and subscribed, as well as left the bell button on. If we can get this video to 900 likes, then I will be doing a giveaway for a new EU4 DLC or the base game if you don't have the game. Some of the achievements that you can go for as Bohemia include the Bohemians, where as Bohemia you need to own Dublin as a core province, and checks and balances, where starting as Bohemia you gotta grant 2 privileges to each estate and have 50% crownlands. When discussing the estates, the first thing you want to do is summon the diet and go for whichever agenda best suits you, followed up by seizure of land. Also, when discussing land, you need to know that you start off with 35%, so if you seize another 5%, you almost at 40%. You just need to dev up one of your provinces once, and then you have 40%. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to Keb. Make sure you set up the encourage development edict before, and then we're gonna dev up Keb once for its production, which means that we're gonna have 5 gold production in this province. Thus we're gonna be getting 3.33 gold per month flat from this one gold mine that we have in Keb. This also means that we managed to get 40% crownlands, so we can actually get one of the +1 mana per month privileges, and I highly recommend that you go for the monthly admin power +1. The privileges that we'll be giving to the nobility are the supremacy over the crown, monopoly on livestock, and the strong duchies. For the clergy, we'll be giving the religious state, oversight by the clergy, and monopoly on wine. For the burghers, we're going to be giving the monopoly on textiles and the monopolies on glass. As I've previously shown you guys, you start off with a gold mine in the province of Keb, and you also have another gold mine in the province of Hunt that you should be rushing for in the early game, and later down the line, after many wars against the Austrians, you can even take their gold mine in Intal. Regardless of the other 2 gold mines, the fact that you start off with Keb as a gold mine means that you will definitely not have any issues with your income, and you can field a sizable army. Heading on over to the trade map mode, you have 24% of your main trade node, which is the Saxon trade node. It is not the best trade node, but it is better than nothing, and we have 2 more traders transferring trade from Vienna as well as Krakow. Keep them there. You don't need to worry about the trade interface for now. What I do recommend, however, is that you manage to divert trade from both Opole as well as Glogo, since that's going to boost your trade presence in the Krakow trade node, and transfer more trade towards the Saxon one. Since you're here, you might as well ask your subjects to go on supportive, so for future wars they can support your smaller army siege down enemy provinces. When it comes to its diplomacy, Bohemia is a very special nation. So what I mean by that is you actually have 2 choices that you can decide at the start of the game. First one is either if you want to go Hussite, and if you want to go Hussite, then you're going to have a different path of expansion and a different path of playing the game itself compared to staying as a Catholic nation. When we go to the rivals screen, we're pretty much always guaranteed to have the Hungarians and the Poles as a available rival. 50% of the times the Austrians will also rival you. It did not happen in my game, but a lot of the times it does happen. So the rivals you should be going for are definitely Poland, since they're right next to you, Hungary, since we want to take the gold mine here as soon as possible, and as a third rival, go for the Austrians. It is easy allying the Austrians if they start off as friendly towards you, but it's a lot better if you just rival them and follow your mission tree. One of your first missions is actually to humiliate Austria, so you definitely should be following your mission tree. Now that we selected our rivals, let's go for our allies. You might not be able to ally the Ottomans or the Muscovites from the very start, but after you've selected some rivals that you have in common, and after you've improved relations with them a little bit, especially the Ottomans are going to be more than happy to ally you, and you can fight together with the Ottomans against the Hungarians and Austrians and even the Poles. And later on, when you can get the alliance with Muscovy, usually this happens after they integrate a few of their vassals, then you're going to be able to rely on the Muscovites in the wars against the Poles. Until that time, however, we're going to have to get some allies within the HRE, and what I recommend is that you go for whatever available electors you have. So for example, we have Trier here who would be willing to ally us, and they are an elector, together with Mainz as well, and Köln. Wait for one day, get the alliance with Mainz, and make sure that they're not rivaling each other, otherwise these alliances are going to break very fast. Get Köln as well, and you should have 6 diplomatic relation slots since you gave the strong duchies privilege privilege, as you start off with 2 vassals and the possibility to get that privilege. I do not recommend getting alliances with either Saxony or Brandenburg, since it is gonna be one of our first targets, especially Brandenburg, followed up by the Saxons. Another really great alliance option, if they don't rival you, are gonna be the Danes, but if they do rival you, later on you can actually support the independence of the Swedes and get them as an ally instead. Before we continue, I would really like to show you guys the mission tree that the Bohemians have, as it is one of the best and most entertaining mission trees I've ever seen in this game. The left hand side of the screen, you have 3 missions that partake to the religious conflict, namely the wars between the Catholics and the Hussites within the Bohemian lands. After you settle the debate and you choose whether you're going to stay Catholic or you're going to go Hussite, you can enact the first mission, followed by the Hussite resurgence that gives you some nice bonuses, and later on, after the religious war of the 16th century, you're going to get, until the end of the game, the defenestration of Prague that gives +1 Diplo rep and missionary strength versus heretics +1%. Also on the left hand side, you have some nice missions that actually you can do from the very start and which will boost the economy of your nation. The first one is Bohemian Crystal, where you can actually spawn in crystal in the province of Rudohory through the Bohemian Crystal event if you dev it up to 20 dev and you build a workshop in Rudohory. After you fill that one up, once you have a cathedral or a university in Prague, you get another 9 development in the province of Prague, and after you do the Bergordnung reforms, you get until the end of the game production efficiency +10. The center part of the mission tree focuses on you first off integrating your 2 vassals here of Opole and Glogo, followed up by a permanent claim on the entire Slovakian state, as well as a personal union CB against the Polish nation. All you need to do is not be in a regency council to get the CB after you've integrated the vassals, so you pretty much instantly can do this mission and get the CB on Poland right after you've integrated Glogo and Opole. After you've conquered the Slovakian state, you also get a personal union CB on Hungary, or whatever is going to be left of it at that point. Getting the Hungarian nation in a PU is going to give a permanent claim on Austria proper, which is the northern part of Austria. Getting Poland in a personal union with you means that you're going to get permanent claims on the Teutonic lands here, and then eventually on the Pomeranian lands as well. Whilst the center right part of the mission tree focuses on you first off humiliating the Austrians from the very start, which is going to give you a subjugation CB on Brandenburg. After you subjugate Brandenburg, you're going to get another subjugation CB on Saxony, and after you've done the Saxon subjugation, you can enact the Bohemian Commonwealth, which basically gives you until the end of the game Diplo annexation cost -15%. The lower part of the mission tree focuses on 2 things. First off, you can get rid of the Turks from the Balkans and you get a permanent claim on whatever provinces the Turks own in the Balkans, and after you've enacted the Revenge for Nicopolis, you get 50 power projection. The other side, you get Reformatio Sigismundi, which gives imperial authority growth for 20 years, and then Peace in Europe that gives you +1 monarch diplo skill until the end of the game, and years of separatism -5. In order to fill up this mission, you need to be the emperor of the HRE and you need to have at least 250 dev. Now the problem with this mission, if you're gonna go Hussite, and I actually recommend that you go Hussite for the extra flavor, is that you cannot become emperor until you've actually had the religious war and you won it. So in order to prepare for the upcoming wars, what we're gonna do is we're gonna hire a morale of armies advisor. If you don't have one available, a discipline or even a fort defense guy is quite decent. If you can get a diplomatic reputation guy, that would be perfect. If you cannot get one, then either a trade efficiency or even an improved relations guy is good, since it helps you with improved relations with the various nations. For your admin advisor, I highly hope that you get a national tax modifier, but if you don't get that one, choose the cheapest one. In my case, I don't mind a prestige guy actually. We're also going to be hiring the free company, which is 8,000 units strong, so we're going to be over our land force limit by 2, but it's only temporary as that's going to grow quite soon. We're also going to be shipping over 6,000 units from this army here into our main army in Prague, and we're going to keep this unit with 1,000, and we're going to ask our friendly armies, namely our vassals, to attach to this unit, as we're going to use this 1,000 units here to siege down stuff, whilst our main army army is going to be busy destroying everything. Make sure before the first month even passes that you start building a spy network in both Austria and in the Hungarian nation, as we're going to be attacking Hungary a lot faster than our mission tree says we should be attacking them. Waiting until we integrate these two nations means waiting until 1454, and by 1454 you should already have Slovakia. Make sure to also get royal marriages with both of your vassals to improve their relations and to lower the liberty desire. When you get the event, the Compact of Basel, go ahead and honor the compact, and also send your mercenary free company here and attach it to the 1000 units army. A lot of the times the Hungarians are going to be allying the Austrians. That is perfect, since if we attack the Austrians directly, they usually have a lot more allies, including in my case Aragon, which is quite tough. So if I attack Hungary after I get my claim on them, I can get my humiliation on the Austrians and fill up my first mission without having to worry about having to fight a massive war with Austria itself. We do have a truce with the Hungarians until 1449, so we will have to wait until that time in order to declare war on them. A few months after the game starts, or even in some cases a couple of years, you're gonna get the event Return of the Hussites, where you have three options. The first one, you can make Hussite the new state religion of Bohemia, and you get a new king, Jiří z Poděbrad, which will follow the Hussite faith, and the Catholicism gets 3% reform desire. The second option is gonna be to make the king Hussite but the nation stay Catholic. This is quite a bad option, and you get Diplo Rep -1 and yearly papal influence -5, so I highly recommend not going for this option. And the third one is to stay Catholic, which is gonna spawn 16,000 rebels within your nation. Regardless, if you go for the first or the second option, what happens is the king that you might have had will be killed off, and Jiří z Poděbrad is going to become your new king. I'm going to go with the first option. I also recommend that everybody else goes with the first option, and thus we can fulfill the Hussite regency, namely get our first mission enacted here, and we can start converting all of our country to Hussite. Remember to set the enforced religious unity edict before you start converting, and also give the enforced unity of faith privilege to the clergy, which means that we're going to be converting provinces super fast within a couple of months. The Hussite religion is basically a discounted Protestant religion. You start off with missionary strength versus heretics +2% and shock damage received -5%, and you can get various aspects of the church similar to how Protestantism works. These actually are quite good, to be fair, especially the cultural conversion cost, war score versus other religions, tolerance of the true faith, and goods produced modifier, stability cost, yearly corruption, national manpower, and so on. Do take note that if you choose to become Hussite, then you cannot become the next emperor, as Hussites are not eligible, only Catholic emperors are. But if you stay Hussite after the religious wars, you will be able to become a Hussite emperor if you choose to go for the religious freedom outcome of the religious wars. You're also going to get a special event, namely Barbara of Telia. Go ahead and hire her. She is a Diplo reputation 50% discounted advisor, and she is really good, as well as she is Hussite, so you want to definitely go for this woman. I also recommend that you convert both the Glogo and Opole to Hussite, but before you do that, make sure that you have enough good relations with them, and then make sure you have some extra prestige points lying around just in case you might have to placate them. Or if you don't have the prestige points, you can also dev up their provinces to lower their liberty desire. At the same time, ensure that you're converting your whole nation to Hussite. If you did choose to go Hussite, the three missions you have here are going to be slightly different. The Hussite Resurgence is going to give you missionary maintenance -20%. Hussite Resurgence is going to give a center of reformation in Prague once you've converted the whole nation to Hussite. And the last one is going to give you the same thing as before. Now, after 1449 comes around and you can declare war on the Hungarians. Remember, it's easier declaring on Hungary since they're simply allied to Austria and Bosnia. Sometimes they also ally some other nations around here, but nothing major most of the times. If you're super lucky, they don't even ally Austria, but a lot of the times they will. So declare war. Make sure you set your war target here. Do not co-belligerate the Austrians, as we don't want to have any of Austria's allies join us in the war, and don't worry about having fewer troops than them. If you went with Jiří here and you focused on military points, then you definitely should be ahead of time militarily than they are, so that means you get better morale than they have, and you also have the Hussite -5% shock damage received bonus, and you can also get more bonuses after you get 100% church power. Use the mercenary army to siege down forts whilst your main 16,000 30,000 strong army here kills off the Austrian and Hungarian armies. Mano a mano, you should basically wipe out the Austrians wherever you see them. There you go, that's a stack wipe. And we're gonna get another stack wipe in a few seconds now. We definitely have more morale than they have, and they're also attacking us, and we have the defender advantage. We literally just wiped out the whole Austrian army. Day 1 of the war. Come on, bros, come on. You also will most likely be the first nation to get all of the techs ahead of everybody else, as you have a super good leader, and you also managed to get the privilege early on. They gave you +1 admin points per month, and you can get the other privileges pretty soon as well. Remember to target their armies whenever they are separated from the herd, so you don't need to stress about it. Remember that having a pretty high spy network in the country that you're sieging means that you're gonna have a bonus to sieging down their provinces. And remember to just keep stack wiping their armies wherever you see them before their reinforcing armies manage to get there. I'm not gonna lie, they do have a lot of manpower, so you're gonna have to do a lot of hit and run tactics every single time. But if you do this properly, you can basically stack wipe after stack wipe and just win all of the engagements. I would personally focus on sieging out and piecing out the smaller allies first, such as in this case Bosnia. Ask for just some war reparations and cash, that should be enough. Make sure that you try and get the forts in Trenčín as well as Pest as fast as you can, and try and make sure that they don't really get to siege most of your provinces. If they siege your vassals, it is okay. And as your first aspect, I would highly recommend going for national manpower to boost up your numbers. And remember to always capture the province that is the war goal in order to get some more war score. Whenever you get the war score for it, remember to peace out the Austrians and just ask for humiliate as well as some cash from them. This means that we're going to do our mission here, namely the humiliate Austria mission that gives us a CB to subjugate Brandenburg. So we're going to go for that afterwards. You should also be able to get the first ideas quite early in the game, simply because you have a lot of admin points that you're receiving monthly. But before we do that, we're also going to be piecing out the Hungarians. Ask for all of the provinces in the Slovakian state, as we need this for our mission, and also ask for as much money as you can from them. We should be able to pay off all of our loans now, but you're not going to have many loans because you are an economic powerhouse, let's face it. You also have access to the fort in Trenčín and the one in Zeppelin, which are super good forts, and you're basically Czechoslovakia. After you've integrated your two vassals, you're going to be able to do the integrate Silesia mission that gives you a permanent claim on Slovakia, which you should have by now, which means you can do the conquer Nitra as well as the Polish diplomacy missions, so you get a restoration of union against the Poles, so you can attack them whenever you're ready for it. If you have loyal vassals here or loyal friends that can help you out against them, I would recommend doing it whilst they're in the war against the Teutons. And you also get the restoration of union against the Hungarians, but you will have to go to war with the Austrians if they manage to get the Hungarians in a PU under them by this point, which is also why you should attack Nitra in 1449 instead of waiting for the event to trigger, which is going to make Hungary a junior member of Austria. Around this time, you should also have your Keb mine at 10 production as well as the Hont mine at 10 production. It means that you're going to be lagging in diplomatic technology for a bit, but it is not a massive deal since you're already getting a lot of diplo admin and military points from your starting super good king, as well as the +2 advisors that you should be able to maintain without any deficit, because you're getting 11 gold from these 2 gold mines. That's quite a lot of cash in the early game for a nation of your size. Do keep in mind that this also means a lot of inflation, 0.13 per year, which brings me over to my next thing, and that is 0.13 when I already have a reduction advisor. That means that I'm still gonna have to lower the inflation once in a while by wasting some of my admin points. A good way to counteract this is simply to just get the economic ideas. Now, since we're talking about ideas, the first idea I recommend that you go for is gonna be the quantity ideas. Since you want to field off a bigger army than you start off with, you already are quite strong, but getting quantity means that you can fight off against the Poles or the Austrians quite easily and win the wars too, due to your amazing starting religion. And afterwards, as your second idea, I highly recommend that you go for economic ideas. Economic gives -20% development cost, and mixing in quantity with economic gives another -10% and +10% land force limit, so you can get -30% development cost in your provinces. Couple that up with the -10 from the edict, you basically can develop provinces for 40% cheaper around the 1470s. Most of the provinces that the Bohemians have are either farmlands or grasslands, with some added forests as well and a couple of hills, but the majority are grasslands and farmlands. So that means this whole main Bohemian region here is going to be extremely great land to dev up like crazy, and you're definitely going to have the points for it since you're going to be one of the most advanced nation at the start due to your amazing leader and great economy that can field strong advisors. As a third idea, I would recommend going for religious ideas since it's going to give you 75% aggressive expansion and a permanent casus belli against other religions. And let me put it this way, you're the only Hussite, so going for religious ideas is absolutely insanely good for you. If you don't have the admin points to spare, you could go for influence ideas in the meanwhile and then later on go back and take religious, but I would recommend going quantity, economic, religious in that order at the very start. One last thing is to also delete the fort in Olomouc after you've taken over Slovakia and you've finished your war against the Austrians, as this is a grassland fort and it is absolutely useless. Later on, when you can afford it, build a fort in Lenice, as this is a highlands area and it offers a bit of protection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, as well as leave the bell button on. I also want to thank my patrons. If you'd like to become one of my patrons, then check the link in the description. So until the next one, have a great day, everybody.